Abortion.
Okay, we're starting this now. So, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to Ultimate Gamer Podcast, episode 47. We have a nice threesome of all men, just for you.
Fucking meat fest.
It's a sausage fest.
Same damn thing.
Ew, sticky.
Well, this is a first. We haven't done a studio recording since, last March. So, yeah.
Holy shit, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, we've been doing them on the road all this time?
No. I'm just saying, like, all three of us.
That's right.
Ah.
We got Dr. 16-bit with us today.
Where did you get Dr. 16-bit from?
Well, he is basically a game historian, so we got to give him a doctorate.
Okay. So that means that he's incapable of actually doing any doctor-like work.
Oh, no, he can't help you. He's just a doctor in game history.
Okay.
He's got his doctorate. He can't save your life. No, it's just too messy.
Oh, God. Well, did you see actually Dr. Luigi? They actually made a Dr. Luigi for Wii U.
Wow.
So sad.
No, actually, it looks pretty cool.
Oh, God. Nintendo can give Kevin a turd sandwich, and he would still find it cool.
Well, Nintendo is coming out with some pretty cool stuff. For example, each weekday they're releasing photos of Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U and 3DS.
I love how you're like expecting to say Melee or Brawl, but no, and it's no
Nope.
longer worthwhile of a fighting
For
term.
Nintendo 3DS and for Wii U.
Oh, you know what they should do? A Super Smash Brothers Fight Club.
Well, you don't talk about it, that's for sure.
Fight
Anyway.
Club edition with
Since
more
it-
blood and a rated mature because you aren't
Yeah,
able to
Nintendo
handle
having
this.
something rated mature when?
They have had a rated mature game.
Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem?
Oh god, that was awesome.
Oh. That or Geist?
That was
Geist? No, Geist wasn't rated M, was it?
I think it
No.
was.
I know I own it.
You mean used to own it?
What the fuck?
I've had it.
You bastard.
Yeah, it is rated M.
Ruh-roh.
Okay. So we're going to cover some interesting things. And I mean interesting because it revolves around my life as all episodes do, because I'm self-entitled, important, snobby-ass motherfucker.
You have a case of self-importance.
Thank you.
Unwarranted self-importance.
Thank you. I mean,
If
you
our
know,
studio audience is wondering why I'm not jumping into this, I'd like to propose a toast to whoever came up with the Reichenbach Falls. If you'd like to know what it is, check out the Geek and Sundry, the cocktail inspired by Sherlock. This thing is heavenly. And it is so good that I can actually survive through this holocaust of a conversation.
kinky.
Go on.
Okay, so we are going to cover a few Xbox-related topics, as well as
If you're wondering why we're covering Xbox topics,
Oh, God, no, we're doing it in order, so suck a dick.
earlier this week, our friend here
Suck.
did post this on Twitter,
Oh,
if
God.
any of you were following. I don't know
No.
if I posted it or you posted it.
I posted it.
What did our friend win here? What did you win? What did
I
you
won a giant 16-pound turd.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Our friend here has won an Xbox One. They're so desperate that they're just giving them away at this point.
I actually went to a GameStop today, and sure enough, they actually have posted in the window, "We have Xbox Ones" in handwriting graffiti.
Oh, God.
"We will take a dump on your chest if you purchase one now."
Cleveland Steamer for all.
You're better off paying $500 for a bag of shit.
Well, that's
Depending-
essentially what people
Depending
are
on
doing.
the shit, it would do great for your garden. Depending.
We'll cover a little thing more than that. I want to talk about what we just started. And I mean, that's right. You two are as guilty as I am. We started a Xbox Live Gold reform petition, and I know like a few of you out there have stated that petitions don't mean shit. They're not going to do anything. Actually, what it will do and accomplish, if you guys actually back it up, which requires absolutely no funding or cost to you other than 2 minutes to just fill out the damn form. But what it will do is create noise. The problem is, if you go on YouTube or and many sites, you'll find the occasional person that's a little ticked off at the fact that half the features, if not more, are locked behind a paywall. And we're talking about stupid things like a web browser. Why is a web browser locked behind gold? Only Microsoft is willing to do stupid shit like that. You have Skype, YouTube, Netflix. When you download them on the Xbox One, there are no notice that it requires gold. When you go to launch it, the application actually opens up, and then it will actually pop up with a stupid message saying, "Got gold?"
Oh boy.
It is so stupid. It's unnecessary. It is. I personally believe it is fraud in its finest form, because what are you paying for? Are you paying for a service? I don't think you are, because Microsoft isn't the one servicing you the content that you're trying to access through these applications. Last I checked, when you use Netflix, it's the same fucking app that's on the PlayStation 4. It's the same app that's on the Wii U. It's the same app that's on my iPad or tablet or smartphone.
Yep.
So why is it that Microsoft has the right to lock it behind a paywall and require you to pay 2 subscriptions to access 1 subscription? Now, and I remember in the early days of Netflix, I thought for a second that Netflix was included in the gold subscription. If that was the case, I wouldn't be upset about it. But that's not what the case is. The case is you have to pay to access your content. And actually, the worst offender is the Xbox Music. That service actually requires 2 subscriptions to access it on an Xbox. If you have Xbox Music, you can access it on your Windows Phone. You can access it on Windows 8, no problem. When you go to access it on the Xbox One, it will ask you if you have gold to access Xbox Music subscription. How stupid is that?
Just wow.
It doesn't make sense. My question is, who the fuck greenlit this? Who the hell said, well, here's a brilliant, genius idea. Let's have our customers pay twice to access 1.
Now, can I ask you a question? Is stuff like Netflix, is that like already on the Xbox One when you boot it up?
No.
No.
You can download it for free, which is the interesting part. It's like, I
Okay.
could
The
understand
outrageous
if
part
they
of this is
charged
that
you.
They're not even the ones that are actually providing the service. They're providing a portal to use a service. This is something that we already saw coming because Microsoft tried to pull this off in the original Xbox 360.
No, they did pull it
Not
off on
this
there.
exactly.
Well, they did pull it off because all the same shit exists on the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing new. However, with the Xbox One, there's just more stuff that's locked behind a paywall.
Pretty much.
You can't do certain things. I mean, it amazes me what you can or cannot do on this console. When you go to your applications, they actually have an application called Blu-ray. So if you want to actually watch a Blu-ray disc, it's called Blu-ray Player. It's free to download. But that is exempt from the gold lockout. Yet an application such as a web browser, which is already installed on the hard drive, you cannot access without gold. Okay, here's a question. When you access the internet with the internet browser, does it funnel through Microsoft's servers? I don't think so. I think it's a direct connect from your console to the internet. So why do I have to pay to access these features? And this is something that us as gamers need to stand together and end this bullshit once
Clearly
and for
from
all.
the process that they've done already in their past, Microsoft has always wanted to have complete and utter control over the experience of the gamer on their console.
Fine, they can have the control, but they
This
can't
is just
have the money.
another
Because look at it this way: if you're a non,
the money's the only thing
look,
that
for instance,
any company will care about.
I rarely play online. I rarely do. The only game I really ever played online was Left 4 Dead or, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty. That's it. I don't play online often at all. So for me, I have no interest in playing online on this console, but yet I have to pay a subscription to use half the fucking features on this console. You know what it's like? And people are going to say, oh, car analogies don't apply here. Look, it would be like if you bought a car that came fully equipped. However, when you went to turn on the radio, you got a message saying your subscription's expired. You need to pay $20 to turn on the radio again. Or if you wanted to use your high beams on the car, you had to pay a subscription to use what you already have. And that's the problem here. I already have the console. I own it. It's mine. Microsoft doesn't own it. I do. It's sitting in my house,
hardware, but
not
you don't own the
Microsoft.
software.
I own what's currently on there. Ownership of said material. For instance, let's say, if let's say you downloaded illegal things on your hard drive, right? Would you say, well, actually, no, the operating system's owned by Microsoft, therefore it's theirs. It's their content. No, it's yours. It's on your hard drive. It's on your physical hardware.
Slope, and once again, it's something
I know.
you
It's just,
and agree.
no, look, the whole terms of service and licensing of software is a stupid, convoluted system that should never have been existing in the first place.
And that's why it still exists, and it always works in the favor of companies.
Yeah, it works in the favor of companies, but they have to understand that once you sell a product, that's it. You no longer own it. And if they want to pull this shit and say, well, you can't hack it, sure I can. It's mine. It's my hardware.
You can try to hack it all you want, but that just means that you won't be able to access their system if they figure it out.
Okay, but that's
like I said,
okay. But here,
this.
but understand. Okay, fine. But when I use Netflix, am I using their servers? No. If I use the web browser, am I using their servers? No. When I go to use YouTube, am I using their servers? No. So as I'm saying, I don't understand where they come off saying that they should have absolute control over things such as that. If they don't have that control on Windows, if they don't have that control on Windows Phone, why the fuck do they have that control on a console?
Because they make more money, and gamers are willing to put out more money compared to someone using a cell phone.
No, but these are all free apps and services. These are services that they don't even control. It'd be like Apple. If they say, hey, you want to watch Netflix? Well, we sell that.
Apple is the worst comparison to this right now.
It is the perfect comparison because Apple doesn't pull this shit. They don't charge you unnecessarily for stupid things. They don't. They never have. They don't say, oh, you want to launch this app? Even though the app is already installed on your phone, you need to pay us X amount of dollars. They don't do that. Only Microsoft does this. So what I'm trying to say is that I want to see a time where this shit doesn't exist because, as I said, the console is useless without this subscription. And I think it falls under false advertising. It falls under fraud in some cases. I really think it's a fraudulent business practice where it is a fraudulent business practice, Andy.
I highly doubt it because most likely all of this is already...
When you go... Okay, if I said to you, Andy, I'm paying you a service.
But we're not talking about... Okay, I can understand and I agree with your point of view.
Okay,
I agree
that's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah, let me finish. I agree with your point of view, but the fact is that would be a perfect point of view in La La Land. This is
not
the real
La
world.
La Land. Okay, it is the real world, and we're talking about logic, right? Logically speaking.
Logic has no place in marketing. They are trying to make money off of this. What way are they going to make money? By charging for everything. PlayStation doesn't have to worry about this methodology because people are already buying their system. There's active want in the market. Microsoft, on the other hand, from the beginning, not only wanted to make a system, but they wanted to make a service. They wanted to make a streaming service. They wanted to make all on top of this
I understand
one
that,
foundation.
but they are not the ones providing the service. It's Netflix, it's Hulu, it's YouTube, it's Amazon Instant.
But
they're the ones providing
the service for access to this actual console. Whether you own it or not, it doesn't matter because their software, for it to work correctly, is always going to go back to their servers and work through there. You may be having direct access to Netflix from that machine. That's great and all. But the machine itself needs to access the Microsoft server to work either way. You can have it in an offline mode. And that's only because up until now, or up until recent events, they changed the whole programming. They put in a hotfix in order to allow people to be able to use it offline. But the original concept for the system was that system, you're just buying the capability of using it. You're not buying the system. When it turns on, it goes to Microsoft, and Microsoft says, okay, hey, you can play. Right now, what we're suffering, or what we're suffering through right now,
No,
is the fact that
basically,
this system is not built logically. It's
okay,
not built
here's the
for...
difference. Okay, the way you're describing it only works if it's a rental. Because look at it this way, right? When you buy Verizon Fios, or you pay Cablevision or Time Warner or whatever, right? You want to watch their TV. What do? They sell you a cable box that you do not own at all. It is
Yes,
the
but
ownership, and
you're still paying
it's
monthly for it.
I know you're renting it. It's like renting a car. You never own the car. You're renting it from that service. It's not yours to do what you want. However, I bought the Prius, even though Toyota owns patents and they own trademarks that are on that car. If I want to put a fucking radio in there, I have every God-given fucking right to do it. If I want to take, I understand, but it's the same shit.
No,
If I want to take apart this Xbox One, I have every God-given right to do it. If I want to fling it out the window,
on for the past year and a half,
not-
and up until now that you're using the console is when you're actually seeing the problem of the argument. This has been going on.
how is it a
ever
problem
since-
with the argument?
This has
I'm
been
ruling in favor of the consumer. The consumer should have every right to do what the fuck they want with their console.
Yes, but this is the real world. We've been
It is-
arguing about
oh,
this for the
God.
past year and a half because we haven't been able to come up with a distinction of whether a video game curtails physical ownership or digital ownership of a non-existent item. That's why you're looking at all those limitations. Why? Because as much as we'd like to think, hey, I bought this game, it's on a disc, it's mine, that's not the world that we live in anymore because of streaming services, because of downloading services.
I
and
understand,
because
but
Xbox is
Microsoft,
trying to
again,
pull
at
off
the end of the day, Microsoft is not providing the service.
That doesn't matter to Microsoft. They're still providing
It
the
matters
service of
to
the
me.
OS.
I pay who is providing the service. Look at my iPhone, for instance,
correction,
right?
you paid nothing for it, but that's a different
Okay,
story.
I know. I'm saying no, but I pay for Spotify. I pay for for Netflix. I pay
Yes, and you're
for
still able to use those services.
yes, but
in
what
every
I'm
other
trying
method, but
you
you're
never
trying
let me
to use it
finish
through-
talking.
We have, and we've gone around in circles on this.
What I'm trying to say, right? Look, I don't have to pay Apple to access these applications and services. Once I bought the phone, that's it. It's mine. If I want to install a million apps, if I physically can install a million apps, I can do so. If I want to just leave the stock apps on there, I can do so. If I want to install a jailbreak so I can remove the stock apps, I can fucking do it because I will do it.
That's great. And when Mac
So-
comes out with its own gaming system, we will love
Fine.
to see that happen. But this isn't Mac. This isn't anyone that we... This is Microsoft. They've been pulling this shit for years. Why
No,
am I
they
surprised?
haven't. No, they haven't. When you install Windows on your computer, you
Okay,
can
one
do
sec.
what you want.
John, Microsoft has always, you see, Microsoft, they want control. Okay, they want to be everything proprietary. I mean, look, for example, look at the 360. You know, the fact that the original machines, like if you compare the PS3, okay, the PS3 had a hard drive bay that you could put in any hard drive. But if you look at the 360, the fact that you had to buy proprietary hard drives, that shows you that Microsoft just they wanted to enter the console market, but they wanted control, full control over everything.
Which I was saying, the argument has nothing to do with
purchase.
control.
Over
everything
everything
to
you
do with
Do
purchase.
you? No, it doesn't. Look,
Microsoft,
in
they
order to have
only-
control, do you necessarily need to charge money to have control? No.
Yes.
Control is a free
According
thing.
to Microsoft,
Control is
According-
about
in
making
Microsoft's-
money.
keep in mind,
Protecting
in
their
Microsoft's-
investments.
In Microsoft's little world, yes, they see that in order to control, they have to charge money. You know, they see that they have to monetize every little thing.
Yep.
You know, that's the thing with Microsoft. When it comes to them, what matters is the bottom line. Now, that's true for most companies, but there's two ways of doing it. One way is of being an asshole, and the other way is not being an asshole. You know, Microsoft is trying to monetize everything, but in the asshole way. Okay? Whereas Sony and Nintendo, not really. Get what I'm saying?
Sony, I'm going to go, meh, I agree. But when it comes down to it, this
Well,
is... The argument itself comes to all of these new generation consoles are the first ones where we're seeing more and more restriction based from the manufacturer, not on the software side, not from something that we would intentionally put in ourselves. And it's only going to happen in the upcoming generations of consoles, if there are upcoming generation of consoles, where there's going to be even more restrictions. Why?
Look,
Lest we forget
I don't
originally
mind.
how the system was going to be. Before the uproar, before we found out all the limitations that there were. I mean, are you really surprised that they, according to them, were able to take back many of the restrictions and limitations for their whole streaming service? But now you're thinking that, hey, these few last remnants of the original makeup of this system are bad? No, dude, this is how it was supposed to be from the beginning. Just because they stripped away a few of the things doesn't mean this system isn't more locked down than any other system in history. We're looking at the.
I'm not even stating that either. This is
I am.
this is a 5+ year old argument, and that's what I'm trying to say. This is dating back to the Xbox 360 days when they first added Netflix to their console. Their argument was that they were the only ones that had Netflix on their console. Fine, you didn't have Netflix on the Wii. Fine, you didn't have Netflix on the PlayStation 3. But now your competition does. Now every device under the fucking sun offers Netflix and all this other playback. So where does Microsoft come off thinking that it's still okay to put these applications behind a paywall? Plus, I think it's false advertising. When you go into the App Store on the Xbox One and you go to Netflix, there is absolutely no mention on there. It just says, I'll even read a nice little fancy quote so you can understand what I'm trying to get at. When you go on to Netflix, it says under popular apps, and here is the summary. Get the free app as a part of your Netflix membership, and you can instantly watch thousands of TV episodes and movies. If you are not a Netflix member, sign up for Netflix and then start enjoying immediately with our 1-month free trial. That's it. There's absolutely no explanation of you will also need this or an asterisk or nothing. It just strictly says all I have to do is get this free app.
A free app.
All I have to do.
Saying that you got a connection. It's not saying that you get a free. No. It's only talking about the free app because that's all it needs to say. It's an app store. If you were talking about it saying that you need to pay gold for, that's something that you need in the system overview.
Okay, here we go. Skype. Join the millions of people using Skype today and to stay in touch with the people who matter most. With Skype for Xbox One, enjoy video calls on the big screen and from the comfort of your living room. Now, if you go down, it talks about features, but there is actually one thing that states, it says, Skype on Xbox One requires an Xbox Live Gold membership sold separately. Advanced hardware required. For 1080p video call, both users must have a compatible HD displays, webcams, and messaging clients, and broadband internet carrier fees may apply. Okay. So here, the application states that it will require Xbox Live Gold.
Because that is an application that's provided by Microsoft. So of course it's going to be extremely detailed. Your problem right now is that the application description that is provided not by Microsoft, but it's provided by actually.
Okay, but
Netflix
if Microsoft is going to put it behind a paywall, they should. If they're okay, you're talking about control. They control everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they control the App Store, right? Therefore, they should also control what the descriptions are too. They should be able to say
that's not their application. They
it
provide
doesn't
the
matter.
portal.
Yes, I understand. But
You
if they're
can't just throw it
controlling
off
the
and say it doesn't matter.
if they're controlling the portal, right? They're in charge of the portal. They're in charge. They feel that it's necessary that they block your access.
But they're not in charge of the application that's already been paid for by another major corporation. They're just in charge of keeping it up and allowable for download. They're not the ones that are in charge of the content itself.
Okay, if they're not in charge of the content, then why the fuck do they get off stating that you must pay them a subscription fee to access a
because
subscription
that's how
you're
their
already...
system is set up. They're not the ones
understand that.
When they do something like that, it's not that they're controlling the content. They're controlling the connection. This is still their system and their proprietary software hardware. So they can go out and say, yeah, that's the only way it's going to work. Does it mean that it's true? No, it's probable bullshit. I mean, I have another story I wanted to talk about that's also complete and utter bullshit on a marketing standpoint. But since they're saying officially right now that you need to get some type of connection or pay for a connection to the internet, then there's really nothing you can do because, well, That's the services they're providing.
They're
If you
not
don't wanna
providing
use
a connection to the internet. I am. When I pay
Exactly.
Verizon, I pay Verizon a monthly fee. I'm paying for a connection to the internet.
But you've
not
never been paying
Microsoft.
for a connection to the internet. You've been paying for a connection to their service.
No, I'm not paying a connection to their
Yes,
service.
that's what Xbox Gold is.
No, it's not.
Well,
when I go
technically,
to the
you're
App
Xbox
Store,
Live is
when I go to the App Store, do I have to pay to download these apps? No, it's free.
if
So
it
what are you
says
telling me
free,
that I have to pay?
yes.
I understand that. So why can't I act once I've already downloaded said app? Why do I have to pay Microsoft to
going once
open
because your
the app?
access, because well, I don't want. I'm not going to agree with you, but at the same time, John, I have to say, you are kind of paying to get into their servers.
Yes, thank you.
You are paying. I mean, is it a good idea? Honestly, as a for competition, it's not really a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to charge
Okay.
people.
The
to
question
pay.
I'm going to ask you both.
But
As a consumer, do you see this as a fair business practice?
Fair? No. Legitimate? Yeah.
yeah, if
Okay.
Microsoft wants to do that, that's fine.
Okay,
if
then let me
Microsoft wants to
rephrase
do
the
it-
question then.
If Microsoft wants to do it, they can. But for competition, because I mean, let's be honest here. You have Sony, you have Nintendo. It's not a good idea, considering that they both kind of have free services. I mean, Sony, you can still play online on the PS3, not really the PS4.
You can play on the PS4
But-
if it's a free-to-play game. You could play it for free without the need or use of PlayStation Plus.
But PlayStation Plus, but PS4 also comes with a 1 year, 1 month, not 1 year, 1 month free PSN. So
PS Plus.
Plus, yeah.
PlayStation Plus is a addition on top of what you
Is it-
normally would get
so-
from the console.
So technically, is it a dick move of Microsoft to pay people to play online? Yes, but they can do that if they want to. Also, going back to the Netflix argument, also keep in mind of what contracts Microsoft has with Netflix. Okay,
They had a 1-year contract. It's over.
are you sure? I mean, have they?
Yes.
Has that contract been ever?
There
been
is no.
renewed?
It's not renewed.
Okay.
This is public knowledge.
It doesn't
Neither is
matter
there.
whether
Neither is there a contract with YouTube. Neither is there a contract with.
It doesn't have to be a contract because they're already official services themselves and they're
Exactly.
usable on all platforms. But the problem is, once again, we are on a boat beating a dead horse, going round circles on a whirlpool. They have the right to charge whatever the fuck they want, not making you pay for an internet connection, but paying to use the service of their facilities, of being able to connect and use matchmaking, of being able to download those applications you keep talking about, of being able to do anything on this console. You have to pay. That is
Okay.
the quid pro quo.
Okay, that's fine. The application's on my hard drive, right? It's my hard drive, not Microsoft's hard drive. It's my hard drive. Okay, I want to now use the application that I already downloaded. So why again? Why?
Tough cookies.
No, it's not. That's the thing I'm trying to get. Look, okay, here's the final question I'm going to ask you guys, and we're going to move on. Do you like the way they implement it? Yes or no?
No.
I don't care. I'm a PC guy.
No, answer the question,
No,
Andy.
I don't like how they implement it at all. I think, you should, because, I mean, honestly, it should be free to play. Like, Microsoft, in my opinion, they should do what Sony did, where you have a optional service that acts, oh, fuck, what was I going to say? Adds extra stuff to it.
Okay, but there's a big difference. What Sony is doing is an actual service. They are making available to you free games that otherwise would not be free if you didn't have the
I'm saying
subscription.
that's what I think Microsoft should do. I think that they should adopt what Sony has done with the PlayStation Plus.
Exactly.
But if that's how they want to do it, if they want to charge people for online, unfortunately, they can do that.
Again, and I'm not making the argument about that. I'm not saying, okay, Microsoft, you shouldn't be allowed to charge to play online. Yes, I don't agree with it, but it's not the problem. The problem is they are putting otherwise free and or paid subscription services behind a paywall, even though they're not the ones providing the service. And that's the problem I have with this console, is that I don't understand how they consider it still a viable business decision when every other device does it for free.
Actually, I can throw my head in the ring and tell you how they think it's possible.
Also, there are no ads on the main screen, only when you're in the store.
I can agree why they think they would be able to go on with it, and why I think it actually will keep going. I used to be an Xbox original and Xbox 360 user, and I had gold from day one and onwards. So I was one of those people that actually paid for the service for the original Xbox. I also had a PlayStation 3, and I used both. And I used both for gaming. The PS3 more for media server, if you all remember. But I can tell you, when it came down to the experience of online, Xbox always won out over PS3.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with the media services.
This included the media services.
It had nothing to do with the services. They're the same thing.
I'm getting to the point, dude. Unless I get to the point, you're just going to be yelling at me for no reason. Now, for the service that I got from the Xbox, whether it was free downloads or such, or whether it was anything or everything that allowed me to use it, including Netflix at the time. Sure, nobody liked the idea of having to pay for the service, but at the same time, the experience, the service itself was better done, less downtime, was better built, in my opinion, for the actual enjoyment of the game and not having to worry about having to download this or update that, since everything was more or less done right through automatically. Of course, downloads for updates are always a bitch on any console, but I'm saying my experience was better in this little paradigm where I had to pay, because you're paying for it. They're able to put more money into making it work, into making it friendlier, into making it a more complete experience. Sony, on the other hand, I know what they did. They put a lot of money into the system, but when it came to the online services for the PS3, I've yet to find a person that actually says, hey, yeah, they were way better than Xbox Live. And this is what they're carrying on today. Because if you are a live user or were a live user, you're going to get it again. And if I were to get the Xbox One, I'm going to admit it. I would buy live, I would buy gold, just to make sure I can use every single part of it. Is it fair? No. Is it right? No. Is it what they're going to do? You damn bet your ass that's what they're doing.
What you have never answered the question, right?
What? What's the question?
Do you feel that you would be perfectly okay with the way the system is set up?
Yes, because I've used and experienced that system before, so I would be
okay, because Microsoft is this fantastic god of a company that when Netflix has a service outage,
you're doing mass deference. You're just throwing it to the side.
No,
it doesn't matter what the company is. I'm talking about Xbox Live. I'm talking about that service.
But this is not part of Xbox Live. That's what you have to understand.
Microsoft owns Xbox Live. What the fuck are you talking about?
But does Microsoft own Netflix? No. Do they own YouTube? No. Do they own Hulu? No. Do they own Amazon? No.
So it's up to them and the responsibility of those companies to make sure that I already answered I'm not giving you the answer you don't like, so you're going to keep asking the question.
No, because you're not answering the fucking question correctly.
On the SS dead horse going around, and I gave you an answer.
You were seriously. It's like talking to a brick wall.
Really?
You are not willing to admit the answer that I'm looking for.
No, you want me to tell you what you want to hear.
Look,
I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think.
And yes or no? Netflix is a Xbox Live service.
No, it's not.
Okay, so why should I have to pay for Xbox Live to access
Because you have to pay for Xbox Live in order to access everything on their system.
It's
a circular argument, my friend.
You are like an autistic child that says 1 + 1 = 1. Okay, you're only telling me what you currently see, not what you want to see.
You're bitchy about a free console that unfortunately you can't use everything because you don't want to pay for a service. And we're going around the circle of this argument.
Because I'm not paying for a service.
Because you don't want to pay for
I'm already
anything.
paying for the service.
That's okay. No, you're paying for internet service to all of your devices. You're not paying for the service of using this device.
Last I checked, I get a monthly bill for Netflix. Okay? So I am paying for a service.
then use it on another one of your devices. That's all that's left to say. You're just bitching because this one device doesn't fit to your standard of what you think logically would be right for the company. No, what's right for the company is for them to charge
I don't
every
give a
single
fuck
little
what's right
thing.
for the company.
Exactly.
I care about
so
what's
your
right for
view
me.
means nothing in this scenario.
Sure it does.
You won't be able to change how these people have set up these services because this
You-
is the only way that they're
God.
making money from. They don't make money off the consoles. They make money off the fact that people will pay a monthly fee in order to use extra tidbits on the console. That they will pay money for downloads. That they will pay money for microtransactions.
And
We'll get to that
1984, where we all stare at Andy and just follow his fucking lead. That's what I'm trying to say, is that you with your mentality, nothing changes. With the mentality of, oh, fuck, these forms, they're not going to change anything. Obviously, if you think that way, nothing's going to happen.
Okay, if you're talking about the petition, I signed up already. We're all going to sign up, and as much noise as we want to make, that's great. But when it comes down to the reality of it, law is always going to go on the side of a company that's providing and making money. You can't just make a law and change the way a business works, not because you don't like the way it works. There has to be a real reason for it. Now, if you can find a way of making enough noise with this petition and there is some type of legal ground that you really think can actually make a change, then yeah, it's going to follow through. And I'm right behind you with it. But as of right now, legally speaking, it makes absolutely little difference to the idea of not being able to use one service or a plethora of services without buying the service of using the system. Because lest we forget, there was a big wall of text that we all said okay to whenever we sign up or start one of these systems. And I can bet you all the money of my pockets to all the money in your pockets that there is an extra clause somewhere in that agreement that says in order to use any and all services, you must provide a payment or you must have some type of service with us on this machine. Because when it comes down to it, that gigantic black turd that came in the mail for you is still technically their property. You own it. It's yours. You can open it up.
Again,
you can
it's
wear
not
it as
their
a hat.
property.
But they still
First
have the
sale
patent.
doctrine states otherwise, Andy.
First sale doctrine.
The first sale doctrine states that once a corporation sells you a product, it's no longer theirs. They have no control over it. They have no
But we're getting to the
say or do
grayscale.
over
At no
it.
point did we say the actual hardware. Hardware belongs
Has nothing-
to you.
no,
but
no,
the
no, 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 no,
updates
no,
and
no,
the
no.
software
No.
belongs to them.
No,
Yes.
the product is mine. I own a Xbox One, yes?
If the product was yours, not the
God.
Xbox, the actual software, if the product was yours, then the entire problem that we've been having with the idea of reselling a game or downloading and copying a game would have already been solved as well. These are both connected, and these are both the same problems we've been going at. We both have good points, and we're both right, and that's the problem. There's no impasse here because both points of view are completely and utterly valid. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's complete bullshit the way they have it set up. If you're paying for a service, you should have the right to use that service in any other platform possible. Why? Because it's your damn money. You're wasting your money having to pay double to have to access it through the Xbox. You're wasting your money having to go through all this mess just to use Spotify or Netflix on the Xbox. But unfortunately, that's how they have set up their system, and that's one of the many flaws that we saw coming down the pipeline. And we're going to start
Exactly,
seeing
and
that.
that's something that us as gamers need to attempt to change. Attempt it. Don't just give up and say, oh, they'll never do it. You never know. You never know until you try.
Like I said, sign up for the petition and see if we can get this going.
Which is the message of this podcast is, look, sign up for the petition. 100 people aren't going to make a change. But we did make a change when Microsoft kept trying to shove that dick up our ass, saying, hey, this console must be on at all times. This console, you can never sell your games ever unless you go through special people. Look, they would have continued that if we all just, put our hands up and say, hey, I'll buy that still. And sadly, there were a few people that still believed in that, which is... I wish population control would just kick in already. But the point of it is that this, especially now, there is no reason for them to be charging for this, especially when I said that, and that's what the message of the petition is. Only on Xbox do you have to pay twice to access services you're already paying for. Only on Xbox. And that's the thing. People are already voting with their wallets. You look at GameStops, they're fucking flooded with Xbox One consoles. They're putting these graffiti, childish signs saying, yeah, we have them in stock. You know, they're even going as far as to say the PlayStation 4 is complete utter shit to convince people to buy the Xbox One.
Well, like I said, the ever-living hand of the market will probably decide this. And from the beginning, if gamers want to make a point, one way is petitions, and another way is simply just don't buy it. Why? Because if you don't buy it, they don't make a sale. They don't make a sale.
I can safely say I've never paid for Xbox Live Gold. Never. I just think it is such a fucked up setup. You get absolutely no value. Saying, you know, putting everything, hiding everything from behind a paywall is not adding value to the paywall.
I, on the other hand, would take the opposite point, saying that the quality of the experience was much better than the free experience.
As I said, the applications are exactly the same applications that are available on every other platform.
But it's not just
like,
the applications.
It's not like,
it's how you
okay,
access them.
Microsoft saying, if you pay us for Xbox Live, we're guaranteeing to you that the service will never go out because, you know, a few weeks ago, service was out.
At the
Or
end of the day,
if you pay
it only matters
Microsoft for
as
access to
the consumers
Netflix,
will.
we
If
can
the consumer
guarantee
feels that the Xbox
we can
is better,
guarantee
then
that the
Xbox is
picture
better
quality
than
would
the
be
consumer.
better. We can guarantee that the Netflix service will never be out for you because you paid twice. No, they don't say that. Again, you know, they have no ground to stand on anymore because the competition has this for free. So Microsoft needs to make this for free.
This isn't the only place that something like this has happened. You
No.
remember SimCity?
Yes.
You remember the recent outrage that we all had when they released SimCity, but, you know, it was online only and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. 10 months down the line, SimCity now is officially making its update number 10, where everything is going to be available offline. Lest we forget, what was it, 7 or 8 months ago, during this whole guffaw, they were saying that it was impossible to provide a single-player experience for SimCity that was going to be offline. So, it's not just big companies, it's also freaking game makers themselves. This is just something that happens a lot, and unfortunately it's very infuriating, where something is provided and supposedly promised, but then it's not exactly what was promised, yada, yada, yada. I'm still pissed off at SimCity, and now they're releasing this fucking update saying that everything that they said couldn't happen can happen now. I'm pretty pissed off. I'd be pretty pissed off too if I got a system and unfortunately I have to pay for whatever, the ability to use most of its applications. This is unfortunately the way of the market these days. Which, by the way, I still have the quote somewhere around here. I can't believe they did that for SimCity. It's pretty fucked up.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's move on to another topic that would probably just keep on heating this shit up. Microtransactions.
Yep.
You know, and the thing is, microtransactions, people, it's like poking a dog with rabies. I'm serious. Have you noticed, though? I'm serious. Go on, open up your web browser, go to Amazon, and go to Gran Turismo 6.
Oh, boy.
I'm serious. Watch. You will
I
see.
already heard about this.
Now, right now it's being sold for $51. It bounces all over the place. That's interesting. The comments are changed. It looks like they deleted it.
And what's funny now concerning microtransactions is that it's not only becoming even more and more of a ridiculous proposition for consoles, but also for PC itself. Steam, for example, by the end of this year, will be accepting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 new forms of currency from around the world.
Oh, yeah.
So not only did they go with the yen, the dollar, the euro, blah, 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 and the peso, but now they're expanding to pretty much almost every major currency on the planet. So when it comes down to it, is there an actual physical, like, freaking value to these microtransactions? Or is it just like before? It's just an easy way to drip money instead of trying to take it directly from the tap. I mean, things like, the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso, the Australian dollar, the Guinea, whatever, the baht. These are all currencies that we're fishing more towards actually making purchases. Now, microtransactions as well.
Very
We've gotten to the point
surprised.
that you can
you can get to the point of literally buying yourself a way through a game, because that's what it's going to end up as.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, this is something that unfortunately Jason Rubin, that douchebag. I mean, he is a douchebag. I'm going to call him out. Jason Rubin is one of those corporate dick suckers that will try to find any and all possible ways to, siphon extra pennies out of the gamer's pocket. And we're talking about things where, what happened to the good old days of a cheat code? When you wanted to get, advance in a game, if there was a part that you were stuck, you just entered a cheat code. And back in the day, I remember when Game Sharks and all that came out, I remember the game companies suing the makers of Game Shark and Game Genie, but Game Shark and Game Genie won because it turns out you can modify the code. You can't block people from modifying your code. And which is why when I buy an Xbox One, I can modify the fucking code.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Round robin right
we're
here.
not gonna
But
get into this-
what we're talking
we're not
about with
gonna get-
microtransactions,
we're
they've
not gonna get
taken
into this
the
discussion again.
Kevin, hold on a second. They've taken the idea of a cheat code and monetized it. Again, why the fuck do they deserve $1 to unlock a car early? Or if you're in Call of Duty and you know what, you want the best gun, you whip out your fucking credit card. Why should Infinity Ward get $3 so that way you can cheat your way to the top?
Because again,
It's the most shady shit in the world.
They're trying to find a way to find a quick buck. Every decision that's made by game companies or any company in general is made specifically for monetization, to make money.
Which,
But
look,
I said
no,
before,
they are
like I
making
said,
money. They
but
are making
there's
money.
two different ways of doing it. There's the asshole way and the non-asshole way. And a lot of these companies are going the asshole route. They're, taking cheat codes out and charging you extra for them. Like, for example, Dead Rising 2 was infamous for that. I mean, the fact that stuff like big head mode and flat mode was you had to pay for that. There used to be shit that used to be just like hidden stuff that you used to find in old video games. And now all of a sudden you had to pay like $2 for it. It's gone ridiculous. Nowadays, when you buy a game, as to quote, John Riccatello, the game when you used to buy a game, it used to be you bought the whole thing. Nowadays, you're only buying 1/3 of the entire game.
Yep.
Or you're buying a portion of it. That's what it's become. It's gone to this point where now, when you buy a game, you're not really buying the full thing. And even then, it's what's the point in paying for the game when it launches, when you can just wait a few months later and they'll come out with the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC.
There you go.
Exactly. But then these are the same people. They're like, oh my God, the sales are down. The sales are down. Yeah, it's because you're price gouging us at first. And then you're eventually bringing it down to a price that actually makes it right.
Because gamers are smart. Not every gamer is smart, but they're smart when it comes to waiting for the Game of the Year edition. That's what most gamers these days do. They don't wait for the game to come out.
Or
launch.
You wait for a Steam sale.
Exactly.
Right, Steve.
Exactly. Recently, you know what I bought at the Steam sale?
What?
I bought Grand Theft Auto 4 complete.
Yep.
Okay. I bought Mortal Kombat Complete Edition. Okay. I bought games that had all the DLC with it. I didn't buy them as soon as they came out.
I did the same thing with Hitman Absolution. I waited until there was a sale. Not only was it Hitman Absolution, all of its downloads, but every single previous Hitman game, and I spent like $10.
Oh yeah, I played Hitman Absolution for free as part of my PlayStation Plus subscription.
Okay.
Gamers that are smart don't want to be nickeled and dimed.
Gamers that are smart are PC gamers. Okay, let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
No,
No, gamers that are smart are not fanboys.
Well,
That too.
Even a smart gamer can still be a fanboy.
you can't be a fanboy for PC. It's as easy as that.
No, they call us the elitist.
You can.
I prefer elitism.
Honestly,
Okay, I
there
prefer
is-
credentials.
there
It's like
is
the freaking Revenge of the
honestly,
Hack here.
there is a. I'll be honest though, when it comes to PC gamers, there is a very Nazi-like master race attitude towards it.
Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer.
Oh, sorry. That's too funny.
But thing of gamers, they don't, a lot of gamers these days, they're not they're not going to buy these games at launch. They're going to buy them and wait until they can get them at a cheaper price with all the DLC.
Well, that was the other issue with DLC is on-disc DLC, which,
Oh,
you know what I'm waiting for?
yeah.
I'm waiting for that lawsuit that comes out asking the courts, when we buy a disc, are we entitled to all content that's on said disc? And I'm waiting for that day when the courts are like, yes, you are.
That I completely agree with you. That is pretty fucked up because if it's on the disc, if it's on the physical media that you bought, yes, it's yours. There's no
paid
download, there's no
60
medium,
bucks.
there's no portal. There's
Well, then
nothing.
here's the other question too. Like what I've noticed, especially on the Gran Turismo 5, I bought the XL edition, which supposedly included all the DLCs, not on the disc, but it downloads. But the other thing that a lot of the companies are doing now is they're giving you the DLC for free, but then when you try to access it, it asks you to pay for it, and all you're doing is downloading an unlock code.
Fuck
So yeah, so like for instance with Forza Motorsport 5, the very first race, well, actually the second race that you do, it has you choose a car, and the very first car that it highlights says DLC on it. So it's already on your hard drive. It's already, on your console, but you have to pay to select it.
That is pretty
The
funny.
hell?
That I will have to give to you.
That's bullshit.
And that's where I want to understand. That's why I think it unfortunately will take a lawsuit to finally have in black and white what is right and what is wrong. And that's something that, as I said, with petitions, microtransactions and DLC, the idea, well, microtransactions I think is bullshit from the ground up, but DLC, I was excited and terrified at the same time. I could understand that the potential was excellent, that there was a potential for a lot of amazing things to come out where a game is no longer finished once it's stamped on a disc, where you can say, you know what, the fans loved this stage in a game. So we decided to invest, a portion of our proceeds, and we're going to make an entire expansion to that aspect. I mean, look at StarCraft. You had expansion packs. I mean, PCs were notorious for expansion packs, which the pricing was very fair. You bought the primary game, and then for half the price, you bought an expansion that was as big as the primary game, if not bigger in some cases. And as I said, the big example, of course, is StarCraft. The original StarCraft. StarCraft 2, unfortunately, they became a
StarCraft,
dickhead
and it was
where...
StarCraft World War and something like that.
Yes, whereas, Heart of the Swarm costs as much as the original pack.
No, no. Heart of the Swarm I think costs like $30,
Really?
and yeah, and whatchamacallit, and the original cost 50.
I know the original was actually $60.
It was 60. Okay, then
Yeah,
yeah,
the original game was 60. Although I don't know how much Heart of the Swarm was. I never actually
Heart of the
followed
Swarm
that
was
one.
30.
Okay, I may be wrong.
It was
But,
they did charge half price for.
yeah, and that's the way you kind of do it. But unfortunately, you look at, for instance, BioShock, right? You have BioShock Infinite, and then they came out with episodic DLC. They came out with DLC that is, I believe, what was it, $20 for the Burial at Sea DLC?
It
And
was,
the burial,
I think it's like $15 per episode.
yes, but the episode is only 2.5 hours long,
Yeah,
which is
And
stupid.
which I haven't even bought or played yet.
Well, they
So-
had that in Resident Evil 5. They
Yeah.
had DLC for it, and one of them was Nightmare or something Nightmare, something Nightmares.
Oh yeah.
But what it was it was literally a 30-minute or less playthrough of a fan service thing. There really was no point to it. It was just a tease that they charged $10 for.
Ouch.
You know what? Looking back, when you look at when DLC was first pitched to gamers, it was a really good idea. I mean, just extra little stuff that didn't really, that they wasn't really pieces of the game. It was just extra stuff that was really optional. Like as you guys know, I unfortunately bought a 360 at GameStop, which, by the way, I've decided to keep. And I was looking at the 360 store, the Xbox Live store, whatever you want to call it. And I was checking out the DLC for Cameo Elements of Power, which, by the way, I beat and I fucking love it. And you know what? DLC is reasonably priced. I mean, it's, extra optional co-op arenas for like $1 each. I mean, that's not bad. But now it's gone to the point where you have full chunks of the game being sold. I mean, look at Dragon Age Origins, for example, and the character of, I think his name was Shale. If you play the character, you'll realize that the story is pretty intertwined with the main plot, and and it is until that's when you realize that Shale was originally going to be a main character in the original, as part of the main quest, but they decided to take him out of the game and sell him as an extra DLC. Shit like that, it pisses me off to no end. The fact that you take something that should be part of the game itself, the part that should be on the disc that you paid $60 for, and the fact that you have to pay an extra $15 to $10 for it, that's a dick move right there.
It
A
is.
complete dick move.
I mean, and the worst offender, unfortunately, is Capcom.
Oh God, don't get
Remember
me
when they
don't get us
charged?
started on Capcom, dude. 'cause
remember
I
when
used to be
they-
a fan of Capcom.
I know. Remember when they charged for the hard difficulty?
Oh yeah, what game was that?
That was Mega Man 9.
Oh god.
They were
yeah.
charging They called it DLC, even though it's a gameplay option. Now, I mean, I don't mind like skin. That really all it does is it's really a preference thing. It has absolutely no effect on gameplay. But one of the worst games that really pissed me off about DLC was Fat Princess. I loved Fat Princess, but when they released DLC, unfortunately, there's no way to play against people that don't have DLC. What they did was to force you to buy DLC. You're playing against people who have the DLC, so they're able to use the benefits that the DLC added, such as pirates, giants,
So it makes the game
and stuff.
completely unbalanced.
Completely unbalanced. It's severely impacted the gameplay.
I mean, you're playing the version without DLC, and you're getting kicked, your ass handed to you by giants. People who
Exactly.
are giants because they bought the DLC.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
the problem with DLC is that, DLC or microtransactions, the moment they give you an unfair advantage, it shouldn't be allowed. It really shouldn't.
Or
And
hell,
I mean,
look at the Capcom fighting games. I mean, the fact that some characters are, the fact that you can't unlock the entire roster in some of these games. You have to pay extra for these characters.
Exactly.
Like
I mean-
Marvel vs. Capcom 3, huge offender of that. You have to pay extra for Jill Valentine and Shuma Gorath.
Which, this begs the question. I mean, now look, I'm not a big fan of mother government, controlling stuff, but the same way that there are regulations in effect for instance, if you're a movie maker, there are federal regulations that state that, okay, you can't hire a child actor or something under certain ages. You can't, harm animals while making said movie. I mean, would you think that there should be some sort of FTC regulation that states, hey, look, once you sell a game, anything on that disc is ownership of the consumer. The consumer has every right to access all content that's on the disc that you sold them. Or say that, you can't unfairly screw over customers, because I think it's a shady business practice. When you're giving someone else the advantage because they paid more, you're screwing over the person that didn't. And I think that's a very unreasonable and unfair business practice. That's what I'm trying to say.
Completely and utterly true to the real world, but yeah, I agree.
It's utterly true, but as I said, there was a time where lunch breaks and open windows and bathroom facilities wasn't a requirement of a job. Yes,
In
it
some
was.
places they still aren't, but yeah,
Well,
I agree.
well, not-
I know what you're saying.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to say. Just because it's okay now doesn't necessarily it will be okay in the future. And that's what I was saying. As us as gamers, I mean, we need to set the precedence. We need to set the precedence of, look, this is what we deem okay and reasonable, and this is what we deem as not. We're not a bunch of wusses and whiny bitches that want everything handed to us for free. We're willing to pay a fair, reasonable price for games. We expect a fair and reasonable treatment for giving said money over. When I buy a game, I don't want to be bombarded with advertisements that say, hey, look, you want to up your game? You need to push this button, which actually, there is a button. I'm playing Forza 5 right now. I'm on the post race. There is a button that says press Y to level faster. If you push it, it's literally a DLC download microtransaction, whatever it is, that will bump your level up if you pay him money.
Oh boy.
That's just wrong.
So then, technically, if you go to play online, you're going to verse people who have better cars because they paid money to get them. Completely unfair to you. And that was the original argument against this game, and because everyone was flipping out about it, the company, Turn 10, actually released an update that adjusted the economy levels. So you make more money per race, and the cars cost less money.
Well, either way, it's something that we're going to have. It's the growing pains of a new form of economy, no matter what we look at it.
It's an economy that shouldn't exist.
But it does.
Microtransactions should not. There is no rationale behind them. There isn't.
Yes, the rationale is to make money.
I understand that, but they're not selling you anything. They really aren't.
Well, they're not selling you anything in the first place if we follow that logic either. I mean,
Oh, God. We're back to that.
you know what? You know what should exist? Octodad, Deadliest Catch for PC. You know what? It is coming down. It's going to be
Yay.
available on January 30th. For those of you who have played Octodad,
I have.
it's hilarious.
It is
it's
funny.
just straight up hilarious. And it's now available for PC. It's going to be on Steam January 30th. Shiny, sexy, squishy.
Andy, you know what I'm playing now? You remember that one video I made talking about how buying a console for its graphics is foolish? Remember I used the video I was playing Grid 2?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually playing a stage right now that has the exact same track. And I'm telling you, Grid 2 looks far better. Far better than the Forza 5. Which I'll even comment on. There is no anti-aliasing in this game. There's none. When you look at the car, there's jaggies all across the edge.
Huh.
Something, again, PC gamers do not have to put up with.
Oh, boy.
Which, did you hear people actually managed to crack Need for Speed, Rivals? They managed to finally reverse engineer it with a simple line of code that you put in the target field. You know when you create a shortcut in Windows, you can
Yes.
actually create a target or a start in?
Yep.
There's actually an option that if you type it in correctly, you will actually force the game into 60 frames a second, and it will work. They were saying what happens was in the beginning, if you told it to unlock the frame rate to 60, the game would actually run twice as fast. I'm serious. Like, you have to watch a video on it. It's pretty hysterical. Like, you're driving like you're on super speed.
Wow, I'm going to have to look at that.
But they figured out that actually they were missing half of the line of text that they needed to put in. Once they put in that the game is locked at 60 frames and the frame rates are locked at 60 frames, the game now runs perfectly at 60 frames a second. And what was it? EA said, no, 60 frames is not currently implemented in there, and that they have to talk to their engineering team to turn it on. And it's like, you fucking kidding me? It's already in the code. You just need to put on the toggle switch. That's it.
That's actually pretty fucking impressive.
That's another plus of a PC gamer. A PC gamer will get their cake and eat it too. You know, if you buy a game and they lock shit on the disc, there is someone out there smarter than the company that will release a patch that helps you unlock it.
That's usually the case when it comes to either pirating it or an actual unlocking of it. Now, for a few tidbits of Space RTS, for my Space RTS fans out there. Outside Games, they're veterans from Microsoft and Firaxis, if you remember old strategy games, are currently working on a game called Nitrous. And they've been able to come up with a tech demo that has over 10,000 individually highly developed freaking spaceships fully rendered on the screen at the same time. And this is, of course, accounting to physics and everything else is being calculated on this. Of course, you need top tier hardware to actually fucking see this run.
I got
But
it.
but it fucking looks amazing. It seems that this is going to for this new game called Nitros is the next level of space RTS, which is actual dogfights and actual battle cruisers all flurrying together in masses, and it looks sexy and it's something to keep your eye out for. What is it? I think Disney has a license for this. It would be cool if they did like a, I don't know, a Disney license with this new software. Along with this, if anyone heard about a game called No Man's Sky, which is, if you haven't, it's too complicated but wonderful to explain. Just Google it. The people at, what was it? Hello Games. They're the ones that are coming up with No Man's Sky. Unfortunately, they suffered a flood. And so what happens is that they lost most of their software, hardware, builds, all of it. And so, but currently, as of today, I got an update. It shows that not only are they back to work, they're in a cramped conditions, but they're looking at having a new office by the end of the month, and they won't have to touch on their Kickstarter money. So that is good news to everyone, because a game of this magnitude, which is going to outrank any other free roam game in existence, it's a full simulation that has an entire fucking galaxy, sets of planets that you could go down to. But the thing is that unlike a normal scenario where there's a loading screen, all of these objects, every single planet, every single animal, every single bit of physics is randomized. So no two experiences are ever alike. And somehow they're all going to be connected to one giant fucking server that can allow you to access where somebody else's adventures have been, where there's a group of people, where people start creating their own like fucking colonies and such, and trade routes. And for the space gamer like myself, this is a huge thing, so please check it out, No Man's Sky. And one final update. Retribution 1.1 comes out at the end of January, so for all EVE players, get ready to fucking fly Sisters of EVE battleships. They're going to be awesome. Okay, that's my tidbit for today.
Oh, you know what my tidbit for today is?
What?
I spent an hour downloading a Dead Rising 3 demo. Upon first launch, when you go to click play demo, it literally has in parentheses 2 remaining starts left. You can only play the
What?
demo twice, and then you're locked out of the demo.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I thought Nintendo was bad, because Nintendo has that same crap on the Wii U and the 3DS, where every demo has a 30 launch limitation. But this one, literally, it's not about launching it, it's about playing it.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. You can only play the demo twice, and it locks you out.
I don't understand how that would work.
I
What
don't-
if what
I
if
don't
you run it
understand
and
why?
then no, the why most likely they want to limit, and so to force people to buy the game if you want. But when it comes to the logistics of it, what happens if you have a false start? What happens if your game shuts down? If you're a reviewer, that would be the end of it.
But you're not reviewing demos.
Some reviewers are only sent demos sometimes. That's why.
IGN. This game is awesome.
From the
but-
5 minutes we played.
Call of Duty gets another 10 out of 10 rating. 'cause
Call of
it's
Duty
just
made
sheer-
me do it.
Actually, from what I remember, I think Call of Duty Ghost was like the least highest reviewed game of the entire franchise.
Let's put it this way. I have not played Call of Duty Ghosts in about a month because it is complete shit.
Yeah.
It is the worst Call of Duty game ever fucking made.
Yeah, I
And that's a very low shot because they're Call of Duty games. So
I read IGN.
It is the duty of duty.
I read from what I've heard, like some reviewers really gave it like really low review scores
Mhm.
and such. Like for example, Jim Sterling, who left Destructoid a few months ago, as his final review, he did Call of Duty Ghosts, and he gave it like a 4 out of 10.
The biggest, well, I would say the biggest problem with the game is the maps are too big. So it's not like traditional Call of Duty where you're in this 10 by 10 and You know, everyone's close quarters. The other issue is spawning. Spawning is shit. Like, there are many times where I'm spawned right in front of an enemy, so he just shoots me. You know, spawning system's broken. The weapon system, you know, there is no such thing as unlocking. You just have your tokens, which you earn after leveling up, so you can get the best gun in the game after an hour of playing, as opposed to leveling up like everyone used to have in the older versions. And for me, like, I'm ticked off that I bought it, because it's just terrible. It is terrible. And it's something they can fix. It's not like they can't. They could create a game mode that has sectioned off versions of the maps. You know, it's not like they have to really rework the maps. They could solve it easily. And
But John,
what?
You get a dog.
Oh, you know how many
Wait,
how many dogs I've killed in that game? I
You
swear.
get a dog. I mean, how can that be bad?
Oh, there's a point, and I'm gonna spoil it for everybody. There's a point where your dog gets like shot and stuff, and its leg gets broken in the single player. I didn't give a fuck about that dog.
That was vicious.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know, actually, you know it's bad when a okay, she is a gamer, but not a hardcore, you know, plays games every day of her life. My girlfriend asked me the one day, she's like, why is it that all your games hold your hand as you're playing it? And it's interesting when a person that's not into games as much as we are notices something so fundamentally stupid about these games, and she's right. Call of Duty or, you know, Battlefield or any of that. All they do is they say, here, go over here. Give me cover fire. Oh, I'll save your life after you get shot a million times. She's like, these games have absolutely no exploration, no challenge. You know, it's just basically go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. It tells you what to do. She's like, you might as well just put the controller down and let it play itself.
Exactly.
Now, she's a diehard Legend of Zelda fan.
Woo!
Die hard.
These days are made to piss off Anita Sarkeesian.
Who?
Oh,
Is that bimbo? The feminazi?
Yeah, the woman who
Okay,
screams the femnazi, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, she's not a bimbo. I mean, she has to have some brains in order to have gotten this much backing from many
No,
organizations.
all she
I'm
did
saying-
was take off her top, and people gave her cash.
Oh my god. Look, we may
She's a-
not agree with her, and yeah, her point of view is both very dangerous and highly, highly controversial. But at the same time, unfortunately, we have to give in to the fact that, hey, she was able to draw a crowd and make money off of this. So she
Yeah,
has
but
to
that's
have
because
some
she's a
brains.
woman.
Oh god.
It also didn't help that there were some
I don't want to be
people-
part of this argument because then I'm just going to rant, and I'd rather not.
Okay,
Do it.
yeah.
Do
Can
it.
we move on? Speaking of feminism, you guys ever played the game Gone Home?
No,
No.
but it looks extremely stupid.
Well, it basically the entire thing. You know what? I'm just
Yeah.
going to spoil it at this point. You're going around the house, finding bits and pieces of the story of what happened before you got there, and why your sister's gone and missing. Turns out that I think she was being abused at some point by some weird uncle, and then she found out that she's gay, and then she ran off with some girl, and that's basically the
Yeah.
entire story.
It sounds like an episode of Jerry Springer.
Honestly,
It sounds like
it's-
something you would watch on Lifetime. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a
Anyway.
$20. Honestly, it's a $20 game that you can beat in 2 minutes.
What?
Okay,
And
I
I'm not-
played it. It is
I'm
a
not
really.
kidding.
It's a good
I'm not-
atmosphere. No, you
It's
can't
an
take away from the
interesting-
fact
It's an
It's-
interesting concept.
it's a good
But-
concept. Yes, the execution leaves a lot to be liked, but it was very good atmosphere.
It's an interesting.
Very good music. It's something where there was nothing chasing you at any point, and you still felt scared at a few points. And don't lie, if you played it enough, there were a few points that just creeped you the fuck out. And
Like
it was
when
just
you
an empty.
find that secret room behind the stairs.
It's just a thing where the atmosphere is felt, and it's a work of art because you're able to create such an atmosphere without having to, resort to visualizing the threat. Okay, but that's game design. We'll get into something like that later. We should definitely do another episode concerning like game design and game stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, what I was
I
gonna
wanted
say
to get.
was, it's
I'm
an
sorry.
interesting. It's an interesting concept, but the execution was horrible,
Exactly.
and so was the story. I mean, my God. It's the same exact
Okay,
kind of shit.
We
you
get it.
find-
The story is shitty. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. What
It's
I'm
a
trying to
shitty
get
story.
to.
No, it's a shitty story because it's the exact same kind of shit you find in young adult sections of libraries and bookstores.
Oh my god.
Is that where you hang out?
There's,
Way.
I'm pretty sure that if I went to a bookstore and I was to find at least 5, 10 books, teen romance stories in like the young adult section, they'd all have the exact same plot.
The plot is the woman is a non-vampire. She wants to date a vampire that doesn't
My
want
god,
to turn her
shut
into
the
a
fuck
vampire.
up, guys.
John, I will beat
Guys.
you with
Anyway. What I'm trying to get to right now is that Dorkly released a video for a supposed DLC that's called Gun Home, which is they take
Oh, I
Castle
saw that.
Wolfenstein characters and stuff like that as
Yes.
the main characters in the house that you need to kill. Anyway, I've provided the link in the chat right now as we're recording if you want to take a few seconds to watch it. It is, well, it is special is one thing to say. Providing high octane introspection and, you know, tear you a new ennui.
Oh, speaking
And it
of
turns
funny-
out that Mecha Hitler is the one who's responsible for everything, so I think it's pretty fucking...
speaking of videos, I'm hoping John put this in the description. But
Okay.
there's this one funny video where someone on Xbox on an Xbox One was playing Call of Duty Ghosts online, and they, as their username, they used Xbox Sign Out. So the people over the on the other, like on the other people playing would call the person's name out, and they would say Xbox Sign Out.
Yep,
Just
I
for
heard
their
about that.
system to sign out.
And then all you hear is, no, 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 no,
Like,
no.
hey, Xbox Sign Out. What? No, I don't want to sign out.
I was like, oh, I see why he's called that.
You hear these?
Anyway.
It's funny. You're hearing like all these little kids talking.
Of course, and they're playing a mediocre game, aka
Exactly.
Call of Duty Ghosts.
Because they are mature gamers.
Well, anyway, what I
Oh,
was
I
talking
never
about for-
told you the story.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes. I was at Target 2 days before Christmas. And there was this family. It was a grandmother, a daughter, and her 2 little spoiled little bitch-ass kids. And the kids were about, I would say, one was like maybe 6, another one was 8 or 10. I mean, they were pretty young. So they, got their mother to get the Call of Duty Ghosts. I was picking up the Super Paper Mario. I was picking that up. And the way Target works is that the employee will bring it up to the front counter, and then you have to wait in line, and you tell them which game it was that you were going to buy, and the cashier will pick up the game and ring it up. This family, goes up there, and the intelligent, and I would say she was intelligent. Would you think that a little kid will buy a rated M game or a rated E game? So she brings up our game, gives it to the lady, and the lady's like, no, that's not what I want. I want the Call of Duty. And she's like, can I see your ID? And this old lady's like, what? And she's like confused as all hell. So she gets her daughter up there. And the daughter's like, I don't understand. Why do I need ID? And then she goes, the lady's pointing out everything on the ESRB descriptions on the back. And all of a sudden you see the kid. His face goes from smiling to, oh shit. Her mother flipped the fuck out in the middle of the store at her children. And I was dying. And I wanted to
This is
give
Call of
this lady
Duty,
a
right?
half five, yes. But the fact is, we need more parents like that to tell their little shit kids, no is no. Oh, because I've seen the countless parents that what they do is like, oh, no, it's okay. I say it's okay. It's like, no. Your little bitch-ass kid should not be playing that fucking game.
Some of these parents, they just don't care.
No, this one cared. If she wasn't afraid of going to jail, she probably would have taken her shoe off and beat her child over the face with it. I'm serious. She was livid. And the kid's like crying and stuff. It's like, you fucking little bitch.
Oh, my God.
What, you okay?
Anyway.
I thought it was priceless. I wish I recorded that. Would have been awesome.
You should have gotten your phone out and recorded the whole thing. Would have been great.
Oh, of course, it would have been instant replay.
Yes, let's make this
Watch as the
situation-
child cries in fear and wants to call Dyfus because her parents won't buy him a game.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should be allowed to hit your kids.
Hell
Moving-
yeah, corporal punishment is awesome.
No, psychological fear is better.
Well, that's what all three of us were raised with,
Yeah.
and we turned out okay.
No, we turned out horrible. That's the worst possible way you can sell it.
Okay, we turned out horrible, but I have to wonder, what is this new generation of kids going to turn out like?
Oh, God, even worse.
Let's just say there'll be a lot of dead kids.
Any Hitman fans here? No? Yes? That is the perfect segue, okay? Hitman fans. You ever played a Hitman game?
I have the second Hitman for the GameCube, and that's it.
I only played Hitman Absolution, which I had a lot of fun with. I just thought the AI is so stupid in that game. Like, it's just brain dead stupid. And
Well, happy day.
well,
The
no.
Hitman 6 is now officially, it was revealed. Not only some actual game art, but some renders. Turns out it's going to
Oh,
be
do
for
they have
PS4.
renders of those sexy, S&M nurses or what
That's
was it?
from
nuns?
Blood Money.
Nuns.
Anyway, from PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So thankfully, it's being done correctly.
Yay.
Which is weird because it's being published by Square Enix, developed by IO, and they don't exactly have.
I want to see the day that they release a Final Fantasy game on PC.
Well, Final Fantasy VII. Or no.
I'm talking about a made from the ground up on the PC.
I mean, like a Final Fantasy 16 or something like
Well,
that?
there was a Final
Yes.
Fantasy Online.
No, but I'm
That
not
was for
referring to
PC.
that. Like, I want to see the end of console exclusives, where, when you have games such as Final Fantasy 13, 13-2 are only available on Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
I want to see the day where that kind of exclusivity ends, where all games are made on PC if they're multiplats.
Well, it used to be like that in the late 90s. I mean, you
Yeah,
had...
it used to be that you had a game on PC and then someone would port it for a console.
Yeah, like look at Tomb Raider, for example.
That's
I
right.
mean,
You got
it came
sloppy
out-
seconds.
It came out for both. It came out for Windows, it came out for Mac, and it came out for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Same thing with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 came out on the PlayStation, then they came out on PC. Metal Gear Solid was originally on PlayStation 1, then came out for PC. There was, in the late 90s, there was this time when, not every game was a console exclusive, especially third-party games. A lot of them did make it to PCs, but nowadays that's not really the case. A lot of these console makers, they give a lot of money for console exclusivity. So
That is a shame.
yeah, it is. But I agree. A lot of these games, honestly, a lot of them do play a lot better. The console games, they do play a lot better on PC. Like Mortal Kombat plays a hell of a lot better on PC.
My question is anyone still a Final Fantasy fan?
No. I mean, I enjoyed
Because I
Final
remember
Fantasy.
that like Final Fantasy fans were like fucking diehards.
Oh,
They were the quintessential diehard Sony fans.
I used
If you
to
were
be-
if you were a Final Fantasy fan, you were not only that, you were a Sony fan, you were a diehard like fucking Image fan. You wanted beauty in your game. You were the people that were asked questions about PlayStation, because if you were a Final Fantasy fan, you were the PlayStation guy.
I was a huge Final Fantasy fan. I like the first after I played my first Final Fantasy game, which was 9. Like that was it. I was hooked, and I was playing all the games, and being like, Final Fantasy 7 is the greatest game ever. And then I replayed 9 and realized that game was a hell of a lot better than 7.
Thank you. Finally, somebody gives 9 some love. Everyone keeps
I
throwing
love
shit at
9.
9 is my favorite,
Folks,
actually.
9 is so underrated. You always hear
Although,
these.
don't get me wrong, I am a fan of 8. I know
Nine-
people don't like 8.
I don't like 8, but I hate 10. So
Everybody hates 10. If you like 10, you were on fucking crack or something, man. And
Send
I'm
all
not
your
even a
hate
PlayStation
mail.
guy. I played these games after because I started buying old systems, old PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and I played those games because I was always interested but never had it. And I have to agree, yeah, I fell in love with those games. But nowadays, I don't find any of the Final Fantasies that they've released interesting at all. And I
Dude, I'm telling you right. Have you played 13?
nope, I haven't played anything after
Don't
9.
don't play 13. It's a piece of shit.
So 10, 11, 11, 2. I know there was one of those that was something 2.
12,
10
12
2.
honestly, out of all the post 9 games, 12 was the best. Out of the post 9, meaning like Final Fantasy 10 to
Now, for those of us that only stopped at 9, since you're the game historian here, should we waste our time playing anything after 9?
only 12. 12 was really good. They tried changing things up a bit. You know, you didn't have the turn you had a more real-time battle system than the older Final Fantasy games. But I mean the battle system was a hell of a lot better than 10.
And whatever happened to Final Fantasy Online? Is that still going?
That's still going. 11 is still going, so is 14. But you know what?
I mean, online, not 9. I mean, Final Fantasy Online.
Yeah, 11.
That's 11?
Yeah. Final Fantasy 11 is the MMO. Same thing with 14. I know it's fucking stupid.
That makes about as much sense as anything else. But moving on.
You know, it's like as if Blizzard made World of Warcraft 4. Do you know how pissed off Warcraft fans would be if they did that?
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? When it comes to next gen, now last gen, 7th gen RPGs, honestly, there's only 2 RPGs I say you stick with. 1, Xenoblade Chronicles, and 2, Blue Dragon.
I heard of Blue Dragon.
Blue Dragon, I actually bought it a few days ago. Oh my god, is this game amazing. This is the kind of game you would have seen on the PS2 and the PS1.
Whoa, big words.
Like the kind of RPGs you would see on there, and it makes sense because it's created by Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy. With music by Nobuo Uematsu, the composer of Final Fantasies 1 through 10, and the character designs by Akira Toriyama, who did, he did these very, short-lived RPGs like Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger, but, there's this one anime and manga you probably have never heard of that he did. It didn't really do well. It's not this big thing. It's a little thing called Dragon Ball. Yeah.
I know more than one past coworker who was still a fan of Dragon Ball to this day.
So, folks, I highly recommend Blue Dragon and Xenoblade Chronicles.
Well, going back to my original question, from your experience, do you think that there's still the same love for Final Fantasy after 9? Because I don't think there's been as much of a groundswell.
Because the people who were behind these games since the beginning left. Starting with 10, is when they really started stopping to support these games. Like Sakaguchi, the last game that he wrote for Final Fantasy was 9. That was the last game that he had written and directed. I think he directed it. It was the last game where Uematsu did the entire score by himself. With 10, he had some help, and Final Fantasy X score is probably the best thing about that game. I love the score for 10, but I hate the game. I hate the story. I hate the characters. I hate everything. Final Fantasy X is like a turd that's been sprayed with perfume. Like, the perfume is the music. Yeah, it smells a bit better than before, but it's still a turd. Well,
I guess that's sound reasoning.
Yeah. But, a lot of the people who were there from the beginning, they're gone. They're no longer making these games.
So I'm guessing that even we agree that the soul of the game, the original games, are gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's no longer there. It's a shell of its former self. Final Fantasy 13 is really just Final Fantasy fan fiction. It's the kind of shit you would see on fanfiction.net in the early 2000s.
Ouch.
Yeah. We're talking like like what's we're talking Squirrel King bad. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm going to assume that's horrible.
Squirrel King was like one of the worst fan fiction writers on fanfiction.net. Like, go read Halo. Halo's in space. It's so bad, it's hilarious.
See, now I got something to do. Now, John, were we going to talk about the Steam controller?
Yeah,
Oh, shit,
we'll
I forgot about
we'll
that.
cover that, and then we'll cover things up here.
Oh, by the way, speaking of bad fan fiction, go read My Immortal. It's so bad, it's
No, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You shut your whore mouth. You fuck off, and once you get there, you keep fucking off. No, we're not bringing that up. That was horrible. On a very drunken bet, one of the friends that I had over in our group on Skype started reading that, and he didn't stop.
He read all 40
He read
chapters.
all of it
Oh
in a
my
drunken
God.
stupor one night, because not only was he on Skype, but we were also streaming scary movies. And then he just put the camera on himself and just started just talking. We kept coming back to it. It was horrible. People were cutting themselves. Dear God. It made you lose your faith in anything, from humanity
wanted-
to any fluffy little.
Honestly, I was hoping to hear one of your reactions. I wasn't sure
God
if you
damn
guys
you.
had
Don't
heard of
ever
that.
bring that up again. Single most disturbing piece of literature, and you're talking to a guy who did most of his theses on grimoires, okay? So, anyway, moving on. We will never touch that subject of again, Kevin, and remember, I know where you live.
Oh, that's great.
Take us back, Jack.
Yeah.
You can cover the Steam controller. You know about this, right?
Yeah, there's been a major redesign due to everything that's come back in, not only from the testing group, but also from what people saw at CES. The original concept was to have a touch screen in the middle that would give you dynamic options for buttons. But it turns out that recently, from the CES announcements and after, that the prototype that they have out now that doesn't have the touchscreen is going to be the official version of it. Although they are talking about a few more redesigns on materials and such, they're saying that the layout is pretty much going to be the same. This is the same controller that a lot of people are like, half loved it, half didn't get it, but everyone in general agreed that it's something different, and it may be kind of like a stepping stone into a new format for input. A lot of people say that the only real problem with the controller right now is acclimatizing to it, because unlike having joysticks or such, you're having a touchpad on each side that with feedback, so it's kind of like, moving your hand through very active sand. But yeah, it's been agreed upon that it could turn any game into a sit down in front of the couch with a cold beer in hand game. You can play pretty much anything from SimCity to Civilization on it and still be completely engrossed in a full controller interface. And if you've ever played those games, you know that's some big words, because it's impossible to play any of those games without a mouse and keyboard. So yeah, I think it's actually a good thing, because it means that the cost of the controllers is going to be way down, and they say that they're selling the controllers before they sell a full-fledged system. So who knows, you might hear something from us about the controller soon enough.
Yeah, honestly, I like the redesign of the controller that they showed. Mainly because, like, the original version, like, if you notice, it had, like, all the face buttons in the middle and stuff like that, and it really looked uncomfortable. It kind of reminded, for a moment, it actually kind of reminded me of the Philips CDI controller, where you had, like, the D-pad and, like, all the buttons around it.
Wow, that actually sounds kind of horrible.
Yeah. You've seen the original version of the Steam controller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, and it just looked really uncomfortable. The new one, it actually looks very comfortable. I mean, the fact that you have, the buttons are now underneath, and it looks more like a traditional controller.
I personally don't really have an opinion about it until I try it, because I like what they're doing. I like the direction that they're heading, but as of right now,
Jack spoiled me when I touched the Xbox One controller. It's a horrible system, but the controller's damn fucking.
Oh, the control is beautiful.
It's comfortable, and I hate that. I mean, I
Looks
don't know,
like somebody's getting a Christmas present.
Oh hell, fucking no! The controller maybe, but you know what? If this Steam controller comes out before the end, I'm definitely getting this over that. Because here's the other kicker: this controller will work with any system. Period. So
That's
put
pretty
that
cool.
in your pipe and smoke it.
Now here's an interesting question: which one do you prefer, the PS4 or Xbox One controller?
I tried both of them at Jack's house, and I have to say the Xbox One controller is more comfortable. The PS4 controller has the issue with my huge, manly thumbs. That when I place them on the joysticks and move up, I activate the fucking touchpad, and I can't fucking avoid it. And if I do like the little tips of my thumbs on the controller sticks, it just feels like I'm fucking playing on a freaking midget controller. It just feels too small. I have ridiculously large hands. I'm sorry.
Now, if you ask me which console do I prefer, Xbox One or PS4, it's
You're gonna say PS4.
yeah, of course.
Was there supposedly a rumor that the Xbox One controller works on the PS4?
I haven't tried it.
I know it hasn't been tested. I'm just saying I read something that there was the possibility of that happening.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But actually, I have to say, I hate to say it, but the Blu-ray player in the Xbox One, I like it better than the PlayStation 4.
Ooh, fighting words.
And I'll explain why. The on-screen controls are well refined. I have to say, Sony fucked them up on the PlayStation 4. They were perfectly fine on the PS3. Second, the one thing that aggravates me to the end of time is a feature known as BD Live. BD Live originally was to give you access to like commentaries or like bonus video and stuff like that, or picture-in-picture that you can play a video commentary that may have been released after the disc was already stamped. Instead, every single Blu-ray disc manufacturer or publisher uses BD Live to stream ads. So if you have BD Live turned on and you notice that the Blu-ray disc takes a little long to load, that's because it's actively downloading ads to play before it plays your movie.
Jesus.
So what I do is on all my Blu-ray players, the standalone players, I have BD Live turned off. On the PlayStation 4, when you pop in a Blu-ray disc and start playing, it will ask you, do you want to turn BD Live on or off? Well, I pick turn it off. Okay, you watch a movie. You pop in another movie. Do you want to turn BD Live on or off? I want it off. Next movie. Do you want BD Live on or off? Okay, you know what? For shits and giggles, let me turn it on. All right, turn it on. Next movie. Pop it in. Just starts playing.
With BD.
That's odd.
BD on.
So let me go into settings. Turn off BD Live. Okay, turn off BD Live. Pop in a Blu-ray. Do you want to turn BD Live on or off? Like, fuck you. I don't understand. It's like, it's nagging you every time. It's your choice. Live how you want to live. But every time you go to pick up a burger, I'm going to tell you you're a fatty. Like, it's just, that's essentially.
Oh, that is mean.
But that's essentially what it is. It's like it's insulting you for not wanting to use BD Live. On the Xbox One, it's a setting, and once you have it off, you have it off.
I got the picture in my head of whenever you put on the disc, BD Live. Yes, no, what are you, a faggot? It just changes every single time you put it.
I've also noticed that the Blu-ray disc loads much faster on the Xbox One.
Oh, that's
I hate saying this, but that's the only good thing I've found so far. I also have tested, and this is something I'll make a video about, and we're going to cut the podcast real soon because we're like an hour and 38 minutes in. But
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
We just cannot shut up.
I know we can't because there's a lot to talk about. I tried doing what, you know how back in the day, Microsoft said that they do not support the console standing vertically. So I decided, well, let me try putting it vertically.
What horrible thing happened?
No, actually nothing horrible happened. However, For some reason, Microsoft, of all the manufacturers of consoles, chose to use a Blu-ray drive that will not function if stood vertically. When you pop in a disc, it sucks in the disc. Perfectly fine. No problem. But you'll hear this weird sound effect, and then nothing. Does nothing. You can eject a disc, no problem. If you sit the console horizontally, it works perfectly. What my guess is, once the disc is stuck in, it tries to lift the disc so that way you can spin it. Lock it on the magnet. For some reason, their mechanism can't work if gravity isn't pointing straight down at it.
The hell?
Completely stupid. Sony, Nintendo, even the PlayStation 3. You can use it vertically or horizontally, no problem.
The Wii you use it horizontally or vertically.
Exactly.
The Xbox 360 you can use it vertically or horizontally.
Exactly.
Even the PS2 you can use vertically or horizontally.
Exactly. I don't understand what the hell they chose, because I'm telling you, this console is huge. And it stands up perfectly. It stands up better than the PlayStation 4. But it's only the damn disk drive. If only that drive would function in a vertical standpoint, I don't see why you couldn't use the Xbox One standing up. And I badly want this thing standing up because it's so fucking bulky. I mean, when my girlfriend walked in, she's like, "Wait, is that the Xbox One?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why is that almost as big as my desktop computer?" I mean, it's big. I mean, it would take 2 Xbox Ones to equal a standard. Actually, okay, Kevin, you know that computer your father has,
Yeah.
that Dell, the thin Dell.
Which we stopped using.
Which I know it's dead. I'll fix it. It's the Xbox One is slightly smaller than that.
Really?
I'm dead fucking serious.
That's a fat bitch.
Look, even the box. The box was 16 pounds.
Wait,
This thing.
Wait, is that how much?
That's a couple of fat babies right there.
Is that how much the one itself weighs?
No, the one itself is, I would estimate, maybe 13 or so pounds. It's definitely heavier than the PlayStation 3.
I was about to say, that means it's the heaviest game console ever made, because the PS3 held that record. The original fat model held that record.
What's your name, fat body?
The Xbox One, when they come out with the Xbox Slim, they'll call it the Xbox Slim Fast. This one will be called the Xbox Obese.
The Chubster.
The Xbox Morbid.
Even my girlfriend, when she walked in, she also said, she's like, "It looks like a VCR."
Yeah, I think we all agreed to that a while back.
Oh yeah, that joke's been around for a long time.
I have to say that the disc drive is quieter than the Wii U or the PS4. I'm serious. Like, it actually is quieter, which would explain why it takes an hour and a half to install Forza 5.
You know what I find funny about how big the Xbox One is? The fact that it supposedly is as equal power as the PS4, yet it's bigger than the PS4.
Oh no, you're definitely, the reason why you're paying so much is because it was inefficiently manufactured. There's just so much wasted space and stuff, and they use metal containment, whereas the PlayStation 4 is entirely plastic. So that's part of the problem. Is it just essentially, if you open up the Xbox One and you compare it to an original Xbox 360, the layout of the design is pretty damn similar. Like, there's a lot of empty space inside this console, and that's partially why it's so big. You look at the PlayStation 4, I guess the way you can compare it is the Xbox One is built like a desktop, the PlayStation 4 is built like a laptop, where they tried to maximize the density of the hardware inside to fit it as tight as possible. Whereas, any desktop, there's plenty of open space inside.
Kind of like the original Xbox. The original Xbox, if you look in the inside of it, it's built like a PC.
Yeah, that one actually looked like a fucking PC.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, it kind of was, but yeah.
Exactly.
And
Very
that was
bad
the-
one, but yeah.
Well, that was the whole point of it. It was trying to mix the ease of use of a console with the raw horsepower of a PC.
And it did a pretty damn good job.
Oh yeah.
Mostly.
Which I love how Microsoft goes. Hard drive included. First gen. Second gen. No hard drive included. Third gen. Hard drive included. Or how about this? First generation. Console only fits horizontally. Generation 2. It's vice versa. Generation 3. Nope, we're back to horizontal. Okay, first generation. Big black ugly box. Generation 2. A sexy slim silver box. Generation 3. A big black ugly box.
Generation 1 can play all original Xbox games. Generation 2 can only play half of the entire original Xbox library.
Generation
3,
3. What is this talk of original Xbox?
I thought I was the original, because I'm number 1.
Get out of my office.
compatibility. What's that?
Oh, boy.
Also, one thing also about Xbox compatibility, one thing I noticed about the 360 is that, like as I said before, only half of the entire library of original Xbox games is playable on the 360.
Yeah.
And what I find funny is that there's only 2 games in my library that I can't play on it. Metal Gear Solid 2 and Ridge Racer Evolution.
You're welcome.
But
Ridge
looking at the list of games that are backwards compatible, do you know what games Microsoft thought was more important to play on a 360?
What?
Drake of the 99 Dragons and
Oh, thank
Kabuki
goodness.
and Kabuki. Well, shit, what was it? Kabuki something.
Kabuto?
No,
Citizen
Kabuki.
Kabuto?
Was it Kabuki Fighting or something like that? I forgot. Kabuki Warriors.
Well, thank goodness. And you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank God that we can now finally play Drake of the 99 Dragons on our 360.
You know, to really piss off people, they'll say, we're announcing a backwards compatibility patch for the Xbox One. It will only be able to play Drake of the 99.
You can now play Drake of the 99 Dragons and Aquaman Battle for Atlantis.
Oh God. Oh, that is worse than Superman for the N64. That is low, man. That is evil.
Well, that I would have to say about wraps things up.
Yeah,
This is
let's-
like the longest episode we've done in a very long time.
You should cut it into 2 episodes.
That will be the name of this episode, the longest episode in the entire series.
So
The longest yard.
We couldn't come up with a name for the title, so this title is the longest episode.
UGP 47, the longest inch.
What the fuck? Well, I will create 2 versions. I'll create the unedited extended cut version, and then I'll call the radio edit.
And then, but you can then sell the uncut.
No.
version
Well,
for
we'll call it
DLC.
UGP ADHD edition.
ADHD edition. I like it.
Only $2.99 with an Xbox Live Gold.
That's right, and we're not servicing this to you. We're having someone else do it for you, and then we're charging you.
Yes, provided with a free copy of No 2 Love 2. Which is already free. Forget it. Anyway, I think I'm gonna speak for everyone at UGP when I say good night, everybody, and platypus.